If you find that your thermostat has went blank, there are 10 things you can check to try to figure out why that happened. Number 1 is a great place to start, and that is dead thermostat batteries. Now, not all thermostats are going to have batteries, but many of them do. To get to the thermostat batteries, you will need to pull the thermostat face off the wall. The thermostats, they come in 2 pieces. One piece is the base. That is the one that is screwed onto the wall. And then you have the thermostat face, which is the front of it, that you can pull right off. Those 2 pieces detach. If you have a really old thermostat, you may need to take out a couple of screws as well. But once you have that thermostat face off the wall, then you'll easily be able to tell where the batteries are if your thermostat has them. So if you don't remember the last time you replaced your thermostat batteries, this would be a great place to start. Reason number 2 is a tripped circuit breaker. There's a variety of things that can make the circuit breaker trip, like a power spike or a power outage, or maybe there was a thunderstorm in the area. But regardless of what happened, I would try resetting the circuit breaker even if it looks like it's on. The breaker that you're going to want to reset is usually going to be labeled as air, heat, heater, or furnace. Simply switch it to the off position and then turn it back on. If that breaker trips again within a short amount of time, then either there's a short inside of the furnace or the air handler, something is shorting out and causing that breaker to trip, or that breaker itself is bad and needs to be replaced. Number 3 is an off furnace power switch. This typically happens when somebody is replacing a filter and they accidentally knock that switch off and they don't even notice, or maybe the kids were running around and one of them turned it off. It's a really easy thing to miss, but if that switch is off, then nothing will come on, the furnace or the air conditioner. I've been on quite a few service calls both during heating and cooling season where that little power switch was the only problem. Reason number 4 is a blown 3 amp fuse. This little fuse can also be a 5 amp fuse, or on some Lennox furnaces, it's a little mini circuit breaker. If that little breaker is tripped or that fuse is blown, then the cooling and the heating both will not work and your thermostat may also go blank. Usually those little fuses don't burn out for no reason. If you find your fuse burnt out, that means most likely you do have a short somewhere on the low voltage side. There's a lot of different things that can cause that, so if this is your problem, I have a whole separate video that you can check out that will hopefully help you figure it out. Reason number 5 is an overheating furnace. All furnaces have a little safety temperature sensor in them. If the furnace gets too hot, it shuts the furnace off. And on some furnaces, that little safety switch or sensor is wired in series with the thermostat. So if that switch trips open, the thermostat goes blank as well. And once it cools back off and closes, the thermostat comes back on. So in a problem like that, usually whenever I would get a call about something like that, they would say that my thermostat just randomly comes off and then in a little bit it comes back on. In these cases, most likely all you need to do is replace the furnace air filter and that should take care of the problem. If you don't remember the last time you replaced your filter, then that's definitely a good thing to do. And I also want to mention that that safety switch can actually get stuck in the open position. So it's supposed to automatically reset, but sometimes it gets stuck and it doesn't. In that case, your thermostat will be blank all the time. It will not occasionally come back on. I have a video on how you can manually reset that sensor. You have to take it out and just tap on it, or sometimes it's enough to just tap on it as it's still in the furnace. So check that video out if you think that might be your problem. And I also have another video on 10 reasons why a furnace overheats if you need to dive deeper into that. But let's move on to number 6, which is a tripped safety overflow switch. On all air conditioners, the evaporator coil, this is the piece that's inside the house, inside the air handler or the furnace, this coil will have a drain pan under it. And whatever condensation collects into that drain pan, it goes down a drain tube or a drain pipe. If this drain line gets plugged up and the drain pan starts to overflow, a lot of them will have a safety switch on it that will shut down the furnace or the air handler and prevent it from running so this thing doesn't overflow and cause damage. Which is especially important if your unit is in the attic or in a closet where the water could actually do some damage. This one is pretty easy to check. You just need to go to your indoor unit and find that drain pan and see if there's standing water in it. If there is, then it's very likely that your drain line is plugged and you need to clear that out. If you don't know how to do that, I do have a video where I show you how to clear out that drain line. And all the videos that you hear me referencing in this video, I'm going to include them in the video description. So if you're looking for them, you can find them there. And if you clean out your drain line, yet that switch is not resetting, it is possible that it can get stuck in the open position. Just try taking a screwdriver, the back of a screwdriver or a hammer, and just gently smacking it and hopefully that'll be enough to get it to reset. If not, well then you just have to simply replace that overflow switch. Number 7 is an open door switch. If your furnace door is left open, your furnace will not come on, which may cause the thermostat to go blank. Most furnaces will have a safety switch right behind the bottom door, so if you take that door off, that switch automatically opens up and that turns the power off to the furnace or to your air handler. So until that door is put back on securely, if it's on there loosely, that might not close the switch all the way too. So until that switch is fully closed, your furnace will not come back on. So if you recently took the doors off for some reason, I would take a look at those doors again, take them off, and try to put them back on again and make sure everything is lining up. Reason number 8 is an incorrectly wired thermostat. This mainly applies to the people that just had their thermostats replaced and shortly after their thermostat went blank. There's a good chance that something was wired incorrectly. I have a video on basic thermostat wiring that you can refer to make sure that your thermostat is wired correctly. And if you put in a Nest thermostat without a common wire, that could be a problem as well. That's a separate video. I would recommend you check that out as well, because even though Nest says it can run without the C-wire, it's much better to add that C-wire in, otherwise you could have issues down the road. Reason number 9 is that the thermostat is simply bad. If you have a multimeter, this is really easy to check. Just pull the thermostat off the wall and with your leads, check voltage between R and C, which is the power wire and the common wire. Sometimes it'll also be labeled as RC or RH. If you measure voltage between those 2 points and you're getting around 27 volts, that means the thermostat should be on. If you're getting power, yet the thermostat is blank, then that thermostat is completely bad and you just need to get it replaced. If you're not getting power to the thermostat, then you know that the thermostat is not the problem and you need to investigate somewhere else. And finally, number 10 is the rare case scenario. With this one, what you will need to do is go down to the furnace and take a look at that control board and look for anything that looks off. If there's a wire that's just hanging there, maybe it somehow made its way out or the wire got broken by something. Or I've also seen, this is pretty rare, but if there's a bug or some kind of piece of debris that gets behind the control board, that can actually short out some of the circuits and cause the thermostat to go blank. So if you checked everything and you're already out of options, try doing this. Just take a look at the control board, see if any of the wires are out of place, they look like they're just dangling there, and take a look and see if there's any debris or burnt marks on that control board. It's also possible that the control board itself is bad, but from my experience, it's really rare that a bad control board is the one responsible for a blank thermostat. And those were the 10 reasons that I had for you. If you have one that was not part of my list, we would love to hear from you in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. And if you're still here and not in the comment section below, let me tell you something weird that I saw the other day. As I was driving, I saw a burglar kicking in his own door. At first I got confused, but then I realized that he's probably just working from home.